What's up guys? So in this video I want to talk about my experience with anxiety or panic attacks. There are like a lot of people out there who are experiencing this, and this used to be something that I'd never even heard of. In fact, when it happened to me I had no idea what it was or if it was even a thing, and now I know several people who like get them once in a while. So I wanted to give my 2 cents on really how I got over them. So let's go back to when I guess I just graduated university and I was in my entry-level IT job. I was doing first-level support in this IT company. I'd already planned to move overseas and I thought I'm gonna live at home, I'm gonna work for a year, I'm gonna save everything, be really frugal, and then like when I go overseas have a lot of money so I can do it comfortably. So I started working at this company and it was quite stressful, you know. You're basically at a computer, you're replying to emails, you're on the phone, you have a headset on, and basically everything that comes at you the whole day is complaining or telling you to fix something or telling you to talk to someone else to fix something. So the way like support works is your first level, so you get all the complaints, and then it's your job to assign the jobs to programmers or DB admins or whatever, network people, but you're getting everything, and then you assign it to those people, and then you have to follow up with them when the person is like, this still isn't fixed. You have to be like, hey, can you like get in touch with him? And then they'll be like, no, I'm busy, and then you're like the middleman, and it was kind of just a negative experience. So I worked with like 2 other people in the team, and I think we used to rotate who would start early and then who would finish late. So I was on kind of the finishing late shift. So it was like I was the last one in the office, and we had like numbers on the board for how many jobs we'd opened or closed. And I was writing up the numbers, and then as I was writing on the board, I just had this weird feeling. And I don't know what it was. I was like, huh, that's strange. What is that? And then I kind of shook it off, and I went to my desk and I grabbed my bag, and I still kind of had it. I was like, oh, something's weird. And I kind of shook it off, and I'm like, oh, it's home time. I had like a burst of sort of happiness. I really hated that job. And then I started walking. Another reason I didn't like this job is because we had to park like maybe like a 10-15 minute walk away. It was kind of like that movie Office Space, where they're like walking over that hill and they have to park like really far away while their boss just parks right in front of the door. So I had to walk for ages to my car. I had to like cross a huge car park, another car park, go under the motorway tunnel, and then go into like this residential area where I was just parked outside someone's house. So I got in the car, and then I just started on my journey home. And as I was on the way home, that feeling came back, and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I just felt weird. People describe anxiety attacks as the feeling of impending doom, and that's kind of what it is. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna pass out. I think I'm gonna faint. I think I might be having, is this a heart attack? Am I having an epileptic fit? Am I epileptic? Do I have diabetes? Am I having a diabetes sugar attack? I was just making shit up in my mind about what it could be. So I saw a gas station and I pulled in, and I'm not the kind of person to do this unless I'm really worried, because it's kind of embarrassing. So I pull in and I go inside the gas station and I just say to the guy, hey, can you help me call an ambulance over here? Because I think I'm about to pass out. And the guy just looks at me and he's like, what? Because I'm like this, you know what? I was like this 26-year-old dude, I look normal. And he's like, yeah, all right, just sit over there. So they call one, I get in, and then I'm in this ambulance, and they're like putting all this stuff on my chest, and they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know, I just feel weird. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I feel like, I don't know if I'm having a fit or a seizure or something. And they're like, nah, you seem good. Do you have chest pain? Do you have a pain in your shoulder? Can you breathe all right? Do you have like, just asking basic questions. I'm like, yeah, all that's fine. And they're kind of looking at me and they're like, okay. So we get in the hospital, and I'm just sitting in there, and like people are asking me questions. My parents showed up and they're like, what happened? I'm like, I have no idea. And then some nurse was like, oh, he might have had like a panic attack, and it can be like spontaneous. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So they're like, yeah, but you're fine. Like everything checks out, you're good, you can go. So I'm like, all right. So we go, and the next day I took like the day off work. that day or the day after, I went to see sort of an osteopath. It was kind of like this doctor, I don't know if it's a real doctor, that my mum used to go and see for like massage. So I go and see him and he's like, what's up? And then I tell him and he's like, all right. And he does this, I think it's an osteopath. They're kind of like not chiropractors. They're not like cracking anything. They kind of like, it feels like they're just touching your shoulder, but when you leave, you just kind of feel like, ugh. I guess they're touching like certain points in your body and they hold it there for a long time. So I walked out of that place and I felt great. So I'm like, all right, I'm cured. I feel great after that. And then the next day I thought I'll go to work. It was like maybe a Friday, so I thought I'll go in Friday and then it's the weekend. So I go in and I guess it happened again. I said to my boss, I was like, hey, can we go into the meeting room for a second? He's like, yeah, sure. And then I'm like, I'm just feeling really weird again. Like, they told me it's a panic attack, but I just feel strange. And he's like, well, you can just sit in here for as long as you need. Like, don't worry. So I'm like, all right. So I'm just sitting there and I'm kind of trying to logic my way out of this feeling. I'm like, oh man, what the hell is this shit? And he comes back. He's like, you good? And I'm like, can I go home? And he's like, yeah, sure, you can go home. So I go home. And this goes on basically for months. I think it started happening, I was gonna work there for a year and it started happening like 6 months into my stint there. So I started researching like 7-11 breathing, all this kind of stuff. And I would go to work and there were times I'd like go to the bathroom and then just be like, I think I also learned about tapping. So I was in the bathroom like sitting in this cubicle like tapping my chin and stuff and doing 7-11 breathing, which is just breathing in for 7, breathing out for 11. And it didn't really work. And then I'm like, I wonder if it's coffee. So I cut coffee out because I used to drink a shitload of coffee in this office. And I cut that out and that kind of helped. So then I switched to tea. And then I started getting it still. Like I started getting these like panic attacks out of nowhere. And I think it slowly, when I realized there was caffeine in tea, which I only knew at 25, 26 years old because I'm retarded, I cut that out as well. And I think that helped it. So after that, I think I went to see like a general practitioner and he was probably the most helpful because I sat down with him and he's like, yeah, what you're experiencing is panic attacks. And it looked like it was brought on by caffeine and stress. And I didn't used to work out. I used to basically just be like a worker drone, like get up, work, sitting down all day, didn't care about my diet, drinking on the weekends. I was like really fat. And he was like, yeah, you should like exercise and all that kind of stuff. But the advice he gave me was like, it can't hurt you. And it's all in your head. And he goes, what you should do next time you feel it is that you should tell yourself to bring it on even more. And it was pretty good advice. It's kind of like reverse psychology. And he was like, bring it on. Be like more. So when next time you're having it, be like, more, I want more. This isn't strong enough. I want more of a panic attack. So I tried that and that kind of helped. So I remember I got home and I thought I was okay. I think I'd taken like a week off and there were like moments where I was at home and I would like get the feeling and then I'd be like, yeah, more. And it kind of helped. It kind of subsided. It was better than the breathing. It was better than the tapping. But I was still working in the company. And I kind of knew in my heart of hearts that I just had to like get through this last couple of months. I actually already had enough money at that time, but I was with a girl at the time and she was leaving the country to move back home in December. And I was planning to move with her in December as well. So this was probably around September. So I cut out coffee, tea, I had the bring it on thing, and then I kind of got them a lot less frequently and a lot less severe. And then I started like exercising a little bit more. One time I like got this call from a friend of mine and we were like talking and I was telling him about it and I was like, have you ever had it? And he's like, I think I had it one time. I know a couple of people who've had it one time, and we were kind of talking about it. And he was like, well, what are you gonna do when you go to Taiwan and you have a panic attack and nobody understands you don't know how to speak Chinese and nobody knows like how to help you, you're gonna have to get one of those like tourist flags and just wave it in the air and get your girlfriend to write panic attack flag on it, and then every time you feel it, you just wave it in the middle of the night market in front of all the people and hope somebody will help you. You know, he's like completely taking the piss out of me, and I was like cracking up, you know. And for some reason, after I had that conversation, I stopped getting them. I only got them like when I got into the habit of drinking a lot of caffeine and like with sugar in it. So for some reason, that conversation like stopped me getting them for around the remaining 3 months until I quit. Now, when I quit, I moved to my girlfriend's apartment in the city, and we started going to teacher training school. It was like an intensive program because I was going to move to Taiwan and teach English. And while living with her, I never got them at all. Well, number one, the coffee was definitely one. The coffee and the sugar. Two, it was like the lack of movement or exercise in my life. Number three was the job was stressful. It's no surprise to me that when I quit the job, they stopped happening. Stressful job, yeah. People just complaining at you all day. You're like getting into doing some work, and then there's like a phone call and they're like, do this, help me do this. And you're like, I guess it's like working at customs in a way. People say those people get stressed out as well. So it's stress, it's coffee, it's sugar, it's lifestyle, no exercise. And then also, and those two mindset points, which is like, tell yourself to bring it on more and kind of trick your brain with some like reverse psychology. And the other one is like laugh at the fact that you have it. I think when a lot of people have these mental ailments, they like to dive really deep into it and think about it a lot. This was sort of another thing that I did. I told myself I'm not gonna think about it anymore. And I told myself that I'm not gonna align myself with a person who gets anxiety or panic attacks. I'm not gonna think about them. Whenever I think about it, I'm just gonna think of something else. And I just tried not to think about it, and I tried not to tell myself or tell other people that I started getting panic attacks. I didn't want to talk about it. When like my mom would ask me about it, I'd be like, I don't want to talk. I don't get them. I don't get panic attacks. I'm not talking. Talk about something else. And I told them what I was doing, and she was like, all right, yeah, okay. So don't talk about it. Now, I would say, like, if you're struggling with it, those three things are like the supplementary things. They're the easiest things, right? I don't want people to watch this and think, oh, well, let me try laughing at myself. Let me try telling myself to bring it on, and let me try just never talking about it. I think these are the supplementary reasons. I think the primary reasons are caffeine, sugar, stressful job. And then these like helped it on even more. This was like the cherry on the cake. This probably did like 90%, and then this knocked it out 10 more percent. And then I moved to Taiwan, and I remember getting like a small one, because I started drinking coffee every day, and if I started drinking coffee with sugar, like these sugary coffee bottles you get at 7-Eleven, after like 2 weeks of regularly doing that, I would like get one and I'd have to cut it out, and I would cut the coffee out and it would go away. I would just get really sensitive to coffee. I remember, you know, drinking these sugary coffee drinks every day, and then one day I cut them out because I started feeling it bubble up. And then I got like green tea, which has a little bit of caffeine, but I was even sensitive to that. I remember drinking a green tea and going, man, even this. Just a little bit of a palpitation. Once I cut that out, I drink coffee now, but it has to be mega clean, you know, no sugar, pour over. The last panic attack I had was, actually there's this Vietnamese restaurant here that I sometimes get their banh mi for breakfast. And they sell Vietnamese coffee, and that stuff is like toxic. I remember downing one and just storming around my house, just trying to shake this caffeine jitters off. Little bit of a different feeling, but still very similar. So for me, coffee was the thing. You just hear about it more and more these days. Like back then, that was probably, I don't know, close to 15 years ago. And I'd never even heard of an anxiety or panic attack. I think when I told my father about it, he was like, yeah, I think I got one in my 20s when I was like screwing in a light bulb in a house once or whatever, and he's like, oh, I just got one, it was weird. I met some people like that, but now it seems like a lot of people get them, and I feel like a lot of people, they dive into it and they want to talk about it, and they want to be like, I suffer from this, and I think really what you need to do is say that you don't suffer from it, and if you do, laugh at it and take the piss out of yourself, tell yourself to bring it on even more. But more importantly, if you're in a stressful job, a stressful situation, and you can quit. Move your body more, go for walks, fix your diet, get off caffeine and sugar, and that's what did it for me. Anyway, I'm not making any promises, and I'm not a healthcare professional, disclaimer, but that's what did it for me. So if it can help one person, then great. All right, that's all. Let me know if you've ever experienced panic or anxiety attacks. What did you do? Do you still suffer from them? Was this helpful? Let me know, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.